My 26th sister, 24F, is letting a guy she barely knows physically discipline her daughter, 3F. How can I help? My wife and I made the trip back to my hometown last weekend for what was supposed to be a late birthday party for my niece. Her original party got canceled because of a hurricane, so this was supposed to be a makeup celebration. We were expecting a simple family gathering, just a few kids running around, cake, and some time to catch up. But when we arrived, things felt off almost immediately. Instead of a lively children's party, there were only 2 other kids besides my niece, and the adults were more interested in drinking than celebrating. My sister was acting strangely, and it didn't take long to realize the real purpose of this gathering. It wasn't about my niece at all. The whole thing seemed to be an excuse for my sister to parade around her new boyfriend. Now, I'm all for supporting family, but this guy? He's only been around for less than 2 months, and he's already moved in with her. The vibe was just wrong. He spent most of the time sitting back, drinking, watching the game, and occasionally bragging about how he used to be in the army, though he left as an E4, which he didn't talk much about. If he wasn't doing that, he barely acknowledged anyone around him. To make matters worse, this whole event came on the heels of a falling out between my sister and my grandpa. Apparently, she'd taken this guy over to meet him, and the guy made a fool of himself right off the bat, walking into my grandpa's house with a beer in hand and starting a pointless argument about politics. My grandpa wasn't having it, and things got tense. My sister later told us the falling out happened because my grandpa said something racist, but that story didn't hold up. Both my mom and my brother, who were there, confirmed nothing of the sort happened. It was just my sister trying to paint a different picture. Back to the party. My wife and I were outside in the backyard when things escalated. My niece, clearly done with the whole scene, ran up to my sister crying. She was upset, ready for her birthday cake, and just didn't want to play anymore. I was distracted, playing cornhole with some relatives, but my wife was nearby and caught the whole thing. She saw my sister's boyfriend, a grown man, walk up to my niece and yell at her to stop crying. Then, in front of everyone, he grabbed her little hand and slapped it. I couldn't believe what I heard next. He turned to my sister, completely unapologetic, and said she had her hand in her mouth again. And my sister? She didn't even blink. She shrugged it off, saying how hard it is being both a mother and father figure, and that it was nice to have him step in like that. This guy then started boasting to my wife about how he runs a house of discipline and isn't afraid to discipline my niece or his own 2 daughters, whether in private or right in front of others. My sister just stood there, nodding along, making excuse after excuse for him. At one point, she even said his drinking was because of his anxiety, which is why he had shown up drunk at my grandpa's house. By this point, I was absolutely floored. I didn't even know what to think. This guy had only been in my niece's life for a couple of months, and my sister was already letting him discipline her like he was her father. I was livid and, to be honest, heartbroken. My niece is only 3 years old, and the thought of her being raised in that environment, it makes me sick. The real kicker? My niece's biological father is still in the picture. Barely. He's in his mid-20s, still living with his parents, and they're currently fighting for custody of her. After seeing how my sister is letting some random guy hit her daughter and then defend his actions, I can't help but think maybe her ex's parents should get custody. Maybe that would be better for my niece in the long run. Now, I'm stuck in this dilemma. Should I tell the father what's going on? Would he even care enough to step up? Or should I try to get through to my sister and make her see just how wrong this whole situation is? It's tearing me up inside, and I just want to do what's best for my niece. But I honestly don't know where to begin.